Right, welcome back. So just to let you know, again, those of you that are HR community members, if you're an HR community member, remember at the end of each day, the last session of the day, this is where you have a chance to go backstage, literally backstage, after the last speaker has spoken his or her last word for the entire day. You go backstage and continue that conversation in a further discussion with that speaker. So remember, if you're a HR community member, you go to the HR Cafe, HR World Cafe, click on backstage, and that will take you directly backstage with the next speaker who's about to speak right now. So as I mentioned, this is all about the voice of the employee. Today we've heard many ideas and insights, and there seems to be a kind of theme around or thread really about the word listening. So employee experience, really listening hard, candidate experience, listening to what people are saying in different elements to really move forward. And so this next session really kind of complements those ideas. So how to drive a sustained culture and business transformation through really listening to your employees. Great way to finish the day, as this, as I say, has been quite a strong theme throughout our people-centric HR day as well. So please welcome, you don't have to welcome, I will welcome warmly to our virtual stage right now, CEO of Alida, Mr. Ross Wainwright. Ross, are you there? Are you coming through?
I can hear you loud and clear. Can you hear
Wonderful.
me?
Yeah, absolutely. We can see you, hear you. I'm looking. Is that an office? Are you on a like fifth floor somewhere?
I am. Actually, it is
You
the
are on the
fifth
fifth.
floor.
Is it the fifth floor?
It is the fifth
What
floor.
a guess. What a guess.
There
You're
you
on
go.
the fifth floor, and I'm going to guess where you are. You're in America somewhere.
I'm in Toronto, Canada,
Okay.
on a chilly day. Maybe some snow flurries coming, but we're ready to go and delighted to be here today.
Fantastic. Right, I will let you go now, and it's over to you. And remember, towards the end, if we have questions coming through from our audience members, if they have something they really burning question, or maybe they want to challenge you on something, they can certainly do that. I'll pop back in and ask you those questions. So, Ross, over to you.
Terrific. Well, thank you so much, and a big thank you to HR Week for the opportunity to come and speak with you. My name is Ross Wainwright. I'm the CEO of Alida. Today, I'd like to talk about what I call the power of connection and this concept of the voice of employees. So how can we drive a sustained culture in this time of business transformation with all of the chaos going on around us? How do we do that by listening to our employees? So that's what I'd like to talk to you about today. As I mentioned, let me quickly introduce our story. So Alida is a software company. We have a global footprint, and we are in the customer experience, product experience, brand experience, and employee experience space. We call it total experience management. And it's all about listening to really understand what's in the hearts and minds to help drive business strategy. And we're a 20-year-old company based here out of Toronto, Canada, and we have a large footprint in the UK, in Copenhagen, in Paris, and in Munich. So let me tell you a little bit, just one quick note about our business. Gartner is one of the analyst firms that follow us, and we are very much what I would refer to as the disruptor in this space. We have a very modern platform, and we are in the upper right of the lower left. If any of your viewers are familiar with the Magic Quadrant, a year ago we were recognized, and next week we're anticipating an update on the Magic Quadrant around voice of customer, or what we're talking about today is the voice of employee. So I joined this company 2 years ago, folks. It's a 20-year-old company, great clients, a great employee base, working with market research. The challenges, however, that we faced in the business, we lacked an employer brand at the end of the day. In this very challenging recruiting time where you're looking to retain top talent and recruit top talent, we lacked an employee brand. We lacked a strategy, or what I would refer to as the North Star. And in many ways, folks, we lacked an identity as a business. Now, we have since rebranded our company. I'll talk a little bit about that branding in a moment. We play in the B2B and B2C space. And as I mentioned, we really are a market leader, an innovation and market leader in the TXM space. The last 18 months, folks, has been a lot, whether it be the Black Lives Matter movement, gender equality, pay equity, gender equality is something we're working through. The DE&I focus, the pandemic, the commentary around vaccinations, the back to office culture. In Canada, we've been working and addressing some very tough issues around Indigenous people and some atrocities that we've had to face as a country. There was no playbook. There was no CEO playbook in the last 18 months dealing with all of this challenge. And I think the reality is either we're managing it as an executive team, as an HR, as a CHRO or an HR partner with the CEO, or the situation is managing you. And just as a quick full disclosure, when the Black Lives Matter first came on the scene with the death of George Floyd in Minneapolis in America, I thought white privilege talk was more about having two cars in the driveway and having a nice home. I didn't realize it was tied to the color of my skin. And at the end of the day, I think that there's a lot of executives out there that need to be coached, CEOs that need to be coached by their HR partners on ultimately how can we become more impactful to serve their employees by simply listening to their employees and partnering with the HR business partners represented in this audience today. So let's dig in a little deeper and talk about some of the implications. The Great Resignation is probably not a big surprise. On top of those challenges I just mentioned, we could add the challenges around mental health, working from home. I can't imagine the challenge of working and raising children or raising toddlers in a small condominium in Toronto or London for that matter. This is very much the perfect storm. And the Great Resignation, London's a great example. The premium that we see in our business, in our industry around salaries it's really shocking how salaries have increased. But it's not just the cost of replacing an employee. It's the cost of ramping them up. It's the loss of continuity with your customers, the loss of intellectual property. So this is a lot. Some of these things are out of our control. But ultimately, this phenomena, the Great Resignation, is around the world. 1 million job vacancies right now, according to ypulsesurvey.com. 1 million jobs in the UK, and 72% of young people between 18 and 24 years of age have indicated that they will ultimately quit their job because it's not good for their mental health. This is something that we have to pay attention to. The good news, what I'd like to talk about today, is 4 strategies or 4 pillars where we can prepare as CEOs, as HR business professionals, how we can build a strategy to pivot the business. And I want to talk about brand, particularly what I call employer brand. I want to talk about the strategy of listening with your employees, talk about values, and take a minute around DE&I, which I know has been a big part of this conference this week. So let's start with brand. So when I joined the company 2 years ago, we were, as I said, a 20-year-old company, but the brand was tired. And we pivoted to Alida. Alida in Latin means truth or verity. She is a heroine, and we created brand ambassadors in our business to represent this transformation of the brand. And my observation with changing the brand, it is not for the weak of heart. It is a very interesting and can be quite a challenging and turbulent process. But for us, it worked very, very well. it created pride within our employee base, and it created a connection. As a result of listening to our employees, we brought them into this process, and it made a huge impact in creating this process and momentum around the new brand. And right in the middle of the pandemic, I was very fortunate that the employees really rallied around the new brand and rallied around the management team as we were finding our way. The strategy that we launched was a concept that we refer to as truth in action. We developed a vision where customers are respected as the ultimate source of truth. We created a mission statement where companies make decisions with their customers, not for them. And this really created positive momentum in the business across the employee base. And I think it was the first pillar in the foundation of creating an employer brand, critical for motivating our people. The second thing we did is we developed a strategy that really was the foundation of the strategy was specifically around creating an empathetic culture. We launched a survey, what we call an employee pulse survey process that really worked brilliantly for us. Let me give you an example. So if everybody could get their phone out, if you hit this specific QR code, it will bring up a question that you can respond to. Do you believe your business is listening effectively to capture the hearts and minds of your employees? Do you believe you're there? And with our technology, we could aggregate those results and we could pull that together and provide a dashboard that then could be presented back to the key stakeholders, to the CHRO, to the CEO, to the executive team. This pulse survey is something that it's a very easy way to capture and create feedback. And for our company, the first thing that we measure is happiness. Are you happy here as an employee at Alida? Now, fortunately, we have a very high happiness ratio, and the ratio has actually increased from 87% to 91%. Our total participation in the survey has come down a little bit. That's something I'll need to look into. We've also tracked, do you believe that we are driving collaboration? And you can see that 67% of our employee base believe that we are either collaborating effectively or highly effectively. But there's 28% that believe there's more work to do. The other one that's interesting is the hybrid work environment. Now, I've been talking to executives as I meet with clients on, are you mandating people back to the office? Are you maintaining a hybrid work environment? We chose a permanent hybrid work environment because my employees told us this is what they want. 91% indicated this works for them. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm in the office most days. I want my employees in the office. I think there's a loss in collaboration. I think it's harder to build work culture in a remote environment. But we have a hybrid work environment at the discretion of the employee because that's what works for them. And this is non-negotiable. We had to meet the employees where they are. And this is a topic that you have to tackle at the end of the day. And I think in many ways, as much as, an old school approach is if you want the job, you got to come into work. But I don't think that really works in today's environment. I think that playbook is now, that now actually is out the door. I think we also need to understand the power of recognition. We recognize and celebrate our new hires. We celebrate our promotions. We celebrate a concept called unsung heroes. This, again, was a recommendation of our employee base to really recognize the people behind the curtain, those unsung heroes that do an amazing job. We also recognize our promotions. The reason I bring this up is because the employees are keeping score. They're looking at the number of women getting promoted. They're looking at the number of minorities that are coming into the organization. I think that this is something that is just so important to provide the transparency around our commitment to D&I, our commitment to promoting women and driving really a highly diverse culture. I think I want to talk about values, but before I introduce our values, maybe just a quick commentary around my leadership philosophy. I believe that the employees, we have 500 employees across the world at Alida. I work for them. They do not work for me at the end of the day. So I believe servant-based leadership, empathy is something we need to lead with. I think humility is very, very important. Recognizing that I didn't understand what white privilege was. Just being able to admit that you don't have all the answers as an executive or as a CEO, I think can be very, very powerful. Leading with some humility is very important. And I think the old world executive would never recognize or admit that they don't have the answers because they wanted to present confidence. And but I think in the new world environment, it's about creating trust and providing some vulnerability, right? Can be kind of scary for an executive team, but it's so powerful to get the most out of your employees. We early on in my tenure with the company recognized the importance of establishing a set of values. So we went out to the employees, we listened to the employees to understand what values really made sense for our business. We came up with four: to be bold, to be empathetic. I think the world needs more empathy. I think software companies definitely need more empathy. I think we need to be curious to ask questions. But the one that I want to talk about today around this power of connection is the power of authenticity. At the end of the day, authenticity, from a leadership standpoint, allows employees to be their best selves. I'd almost go as far as an authentic culture allows employees to make mistakes. We can almost encourage them to make mistakes because if they're making mistakes, they're stretching and they feel comfortable. They feel they're in a psychological safe place. And that is really important. And there's a direct connection back to loyalty and commitment from the employee to the client, or pardon me, to the company, because of that authenticity. And you get their best work at the end of the day. Now, the umbrella for this is trust. The power of trust is so important. I believe the day you trust the employee isn't 6 months after they come into the company and prove themselves. I think you need to trust the employee the day you hire them, or otherwise we shouldn't hire them. But we should empower them and give them both the account to provide accountability, but also that empowerment the day they join the business. Now, I know D&I has been a topic that's been discussed this week. I just have a couple comments that I'd like to share. We have rolled out a set of ERG, our employee resource groups, around Black Lives Matter, around LGBTQ+. We have a DE&I council. The DE&I council actually helps to define the strategy specifically for Alita. We have a program right now around pay equity, around gender pay, that we've hired some third-party consultants to help us to provide transparency back to the employees. Walking the talk for D&I is critical. We have to make it part of our narrative, and it's not an event; it's a process. It has to happen on an ongoing basis. But what I've recently learned around D&I, it's not good enough just to talk about it. We also have to set KPIs and goals so there's a benchmark. How many Black employees do we have in the organization? How can we grow that? How can we grow other minorities in the business? We have to set up goals around female leadership within our executive team, within our boards. We have to make it a commitment, and we have to set those KPIs in order for the employees to hold us accountable. That's the only way that you'll make change. We also need to track through surveys. In this case, we're tracking against a diversity tech dashboard, how people identify themselves from a minority standpoint. We also ask our employees at Alita, what best describes you? And we are 51% Black, Brown, Asian, Hispanic, Latino, LGBTQ+. We have 56% of our managers are women, 49% of our employees are women. These are some of the statistics that we track through our survey. But it's not just good enough to track it. You also need to set goals on how you're actually going to move the needle and make a difference. I'd like to close with the power of what we call elite impact. This is all about creating positive social change in our communities. I think that this is very, very important for creating connection for our employees. Our average age in our company is about 33. Making an impact in the communities that we live in is not a request of the employees, it's a mandate. And it's something we need to lean in. We make an investment in terms of what we call the 4Ts. Our talent, our treasure, our technology, and our time. We make an investment. And two examples. One is STEMETS. STEMETS is a terrific organization out of London that invests in STEM education for young women, young ladies, girls that want to invest in the sciences and math and chemistry. And we've had an opportunity to sponsor and participate in a mentoring capacity, as well as making a donation in supporting STEMETS. Pathways to Education recognizes high school students in parts of Canada that are impoverished, where these kids do not have the privileges and the chances that more affluent communities provide. We are investing in mentoring. We are investing in our technology, yes, our time, and our treasure. We are doing a campaign with our employees, a Christmas campaign to do fundraising specifically for Pathways to Education. The feedback I get from the employees by investing in what we call elite impact is that I feel more connected with the company. I feel empowered, and I believe it's critical in terms of how we live the values. So how do we do this, folks? First of all, the executives, the CEOs have to trust their HR partners, because I know you have the back of your executive teams, but we have to push the executives out of their comfort zone to take the leap, to take the risk. And the right time to start is right now, whether it be around DE&I, whether about building values, whether it be building the strategy or establishing an employee brand, whether it be building a social impact strategy to invest in our communities. The right time to start is right now. And all of these things represent the moral higher ground for sure. But there's also a business ROI that you folks know about this. There is a strong return on investment. Better businesses that invest in DE&I, in pay gender equity, into social impact, to build an employee brand, to retain top talent, to recruit top talent, they are better performing businesses. So the right time to make the change is right now. And we can do it. We can do it together by just simply listening to our employees and creating a more positive connection. I'd like to thank you for the time today. We have an Alita digital booth. So if you'd like to get more information, we have a complimentary resource package if you'd like to learn more about Alita. I encourage the HR business partners to challenge your CEOs, get them out of their comfort zone and make a difference. This is such a powerful story. And I know that we can make it by building an employee brand, by building the right employee strategy, by celebrating the values, protecting the values, and driving a DE&I and social impact strategy. You can make a difference in a quarter. You can make a difference within a calendar year. You can be surprised how quickly you can move the needle. So thank you very much for your time, and it was a pleasure to speak with you today.
Fantastic, Ross. Thank you so much. Some great insights on different things that are actually coming out, and I'm sure our listeners now are in a better state of mind, and some real good sound bites. Something that you mentioned earlier on is great that in terms of measurement, in terms of asking questions, you ask the people who work for you, and very simply you ask them number one question. Well, the first question: are you happy? A very simple 3 words, but can actually give you so much information about so many other things as well. So thank you so much. And remember, very, very shortly, those of you that are listeners, those of you that are HR community members, you have the right to now join us very shortly in a couple of minutes backstage. So if you go to the HR World Cafe, you'll see a button, click that, and that'll take you, that'll actually move you, it'll glide you through literally to a backstage area where you'll meet Ross, and you'll meet me as well, and we'll have a nice 25-minute, 30-minute discussion conversation about many different aspects of HR. Thank you so much, Ross. I'll be seeing you in a few moments' time.
Super, thank you.
Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, that is the end of our day number 2 of HR Week 2021, People-Centric HR Tuesday. Yesterday was, we could call it a Strategic HR Monday. Tomorrow, guess what's tomorrow? Tomorrow is Digital Wednesday, let's say. We can call it all about the stories, the emerging stories that are really supporting the digital transformation of HR and supporting HR moving forward in the right direction. So it's all about digital ideas, insights, debate, discussion, which I'm sure will be intriguing as much as it's been today and yesterday. So with that, I wish you a good evening or a good morning, or wherever you are in the world. Enjoy yourselves, and we'll be joining each other tomorrow, again back tomorrow for Digital HR, the 3rd day of HR Week 2021, kicking off at 9 o'clock. So I'll see you then, and I'll have a lovely day rest of the day. Goodbye.